I'm delighted to be here in Warsaw for the first time ever. Never been this far east in Europe. I've traveled to most countries in Europe, but just not here. And it's fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Only came in yesterday. Lovely people, especially lean coders. You'll find out why in a while. Great. So they haven't told me what to do with this, so this will be interesting. I'll start pressing the big button and see what happens. That photo, where did they get it from? They didn't get it from me. Clearly that's my younger, more approachable, younger self before joining. Yeah, AI, indeed. Before joining Virgin Money. That's probably what Virgin Money did to me. Anyway, pressing the big button. Nothing happens. Right button. That worked. Fantastic. I'm a techie, don't you know? Fantastic. So we're here. We've been working on mobile apps in Virgin Money for quite some time. Obviously, people will have heard of Virgin. Show of hands. Anybody heard of the Virgin Group? Yeah, quite a few. I thought so. And obviously, I'm doing the body double for Richard Branson today, so he couldn't make it, unfortunately. So our approach is obviously everything about money for UK customers. We are servicing customers throughout the UK for all of their financial requirements. So it's a big regulated industry that we sit in, and as I mentioned in a moment, we're beginning to be part of a bigger journey as well. So my own journey with technology started a long time ago. I remember writing my first web page probably in 1995, before some of you guys were born, sadly. I think I used Microsoft Word for it, would you believe? So technology, the only constant is change, right? Does anybody use Microsoft Word for web pages anymore? No. Somebody said yes. Great. Excellent. So, who are we? Well, first of all, where am I fitting into this? My role is a chapter lead for mobile, so essentially a head of mobile role. So my journey with Virgin Money started about 7 years ago. I joined them pre-COVID, thinking, this is great. I'm actually going to be a consultant with an organization about 6 miles from where I live instead of traveling the world, which I thought was fantastic and really well placed, given COVID was on its way. So timing was perfect on my side. And when I joined, they were just merging. This is a story of merging of organizations. So Virgin Money started as a very, very small operation in Norwich, UK. If anybody knows Norwich, it's sort of the bumpy bit on the bottom of the UK, sticking out to the European side. And it then grew and acquired. So we've been an acquisition all the way. And that means we've acquired technology on the way. And that means technical debt, of course, as well. But occasionally, we've had to build new things. So back when I joined, we were building one of the pillar apps, one of our core apps of today, which I'm now going to call legacy apps. And that was only a few years ago. So technology, the only constant is change. So that was a credit card app. And I joined an organization in Newcastle, UK, which was Virgin Money. And we were building the credit card app for customers. So that was a truly greenfield operation at the time. And we were building it natively. So at the time, that was the sensible choice for us. We decided it had to be both an iOS and an Android app, and we would use the native technologies for it. All throughout my career in mobile, I have used cross-platform. Very rarely have we ever made it into production, because there's never been quite the silver bullet that we wanted. You might find out in this speech that one was found at the end of the day. It begins with an F. So, what was the problem we were trying to solve? We had 6 pillar apps. You guys probably can't see it. I'm going to risk falling off the stage there. So, too many apps, arguably. And of course, we're missing something off this slide, which is ×2. So we're doing all of this natively, all of it sort of acquired through this merger process. So on the left, investments and pensions, part of a customer's financial journey. Wallet, this was our first attempt at making something sort of a brand new journey. We were going to use a cross-platform solution there In the end, we didn't. This was about 4 years ago. We didn't do it because of the challenges. We only released it on iOS. It was supposed to be on both. Personal banking, the red one, that is our core app for using your bank account. That exists and is 4 million customers on that at the moment. The credit card app is the other pillar app that we have, servicing users' needs for their credit card. And that is probably the same sort of number these days. I think it's getting close to 3 million active users on the accounts there. So all of this is getting quite complex. And you have these other little apps that are designed as use cases, things like Home Buying Coach. If you're starting your property journey, that's what you would start. So you can start building your credit history and learning about how to plan for a significant purchase in your life, which is buying a house or an apartment. And the very final one is Business Coach, trying to do a similar thing but be sustainable for your business purposes. So as you can imagine, lots of apps, lots of complexity. We were crazy. We had to do that. We realized this is just not sustainable. And as a technology organization, very little of this, if at all, was reusable. We couldn't live with that in the 21st century. We had to be able to make core components reusable across the estate. And we came up with a, you can probably tell I'm not in marketing. They'd never get away with that, would they? They'd never let me call something a single app. That's our working title. It's the marketing name. I would have to kill you if I told you what it's going to be, because it's going to be launched in the next few months. But for the moment, just believe me, it's going to be called a single app. We took the view that the two most important apps that we have for our customers, we need to move those features into not just a single app, but a single code base. And surprisingly, Flutter was the silver bullet that we went for. It's a journey that solves the problem of not doing things so many times. And it also stops crazy people like me wanting to do too many things too often. Flutter really has been a journey of discovery for us. But we felt that it was really important we set some guidelines out early. The earliest guidelines we set were myself and some of the guys from Lean Code will know my line manager, a guy called Gary McClellan, who is based in Glasgow. We were I suppose, the troublesome twins, in the sense that we decided we were going to start playing with Flutter in our own time. This was back 3 years ago. We'd played with it in the early days, the Flutter 1.0 period, and we liked it. But timing is everything. And we decided we were going to start bringing our concept of a single app together, but we were going to battle test it. We were going to play with it. And we were spending far too many late evenings powered by something called Iron Brew, or wine. Iron Brew is a Scottish delicacy. If you ever want to try it, it's full of sugar, and you'll have a sugar rush for the next week. But we drank a lot of it, and we set out with one question to solve: was what would stop us adopting Flutter? And we were convinced at some point we were going to run into a moment that stopped us, and put the whole project to bed and say, we'll stay safe, we'll stay with native. But we kept playing and trying new things, and we brought some people in from our developer community at work, and secretly we started a skunk works, and we still couldn't find anything that was going to stop us in our tracks. And we were looking at different frameworks, different processes, and we got quite confident with it. But then we realized there's reality. Those are the important things. It's got to be, we're a regulated industry. It's got to be great for our customers. So we believed it, and we took it to some of our business colleagues, the people who actually have the purse strings, so to speak, the money to spend, and we started convincing them. And they believed us. And Gary and I weren't, we were still a little unsure, working on the principle of whatever we do here, we don't want to get fired because we quite like our jobs. But so long as customers love it and it's secure, then we were in the right direction. The challenge we had was the people. That was a big challenge for us. We had a lot of native developers. So my chapter is about 85 mobile developers. And I had to convince those guys who were dyed-in-the-wool native developers who'd crafted their skills on Objective-C and Java and many older technologies, some of the newer ones. They'd spend a lot of time and effort learning their craft. And we were saying to them, hey, this cross-platform thing we discounted years ago, we want to take another look. We love it. So we had to get the right skilled people, and we had to train the people internally because it was actually really hard to find great developers in the UK. Apparently in Poland, they've got loads. So we had to prove out the basics. So we started with some small PoCs, so proof of concept, and yeah, they went really well. And we were able to cut corners in a sense that because there were POCs, we were able to be not quite as regulated as our customer apps need to be, and we could move quickly. And that was one of the beauties with Flutter. Obviously, we had to make the architectural decisions. That was a challenge. We reached out to the Flutter team and said, what do you recommend? And they went, it's up to you, basically, which scared the shit out of us. But we got it right in the end. We think we made the right decisions. Certainly when we started working with our friends at Lean Code, they didn't tell us we were crazy, so that was good. We'd made some good decisions early on. But helping getting everybody on the bus, the journey with us, wasn't just the mobile developers. We also had to work with our colleagues in product management, in quality assurance, in the design department to make sure, in fact, they call themselves human-centered design these days. I thought we were all humans, but apparently they're not. They were key to this. It wasn't just the developers and the techies we had to bring on the journey with us. It was the wider community, and that was really important. So we went crazy with a few POCs and showed them around. People loved what we were doing, and they could see the benefit, and we did that a lot. And I think that served us well. What are the challenges? Definitely more training for developers early on. I think it was a challenge. We actually went, remember I mentioned not getting fired? That was important. We went out to a couple of the big organizations who I'm not going to mention and asked them, why should we do this? Why should we not do this journey to Flutter? And it was a little surprising how limited the knowledge was in the industry. But we got some great advice in the end, and they definitely told us that we shouldn't be doing it, which was great. But actually getting the training was a challenge. Maybe if I'd had an earlier conversation with Lucas and the team, we would have had some training on board, but we had to train our own people. Luckily, we hire well, and the senior developers that we have were able to, there's one guy whose name's going to be not mentioned, Martin, who basically learned Dart and Flutter in a lunchtime, and he was able to take that learning and deliver it to the entire team very, very well. And most of my core team have been able to take on the technology and run with it quickly and share that knowledge. There's no keeping the knowledge to themselves, which was fantastic. But definitely more structured training would have been a good thing. Test automation, we should probably have got really heavily into that early on. That was left a little bit too late. We've made up ground on that. We are covering every area of concern now very well with code coverage, and perhaps integrating more closely with our QA teams would have been really good early on. They were doing their day job, which was the legacy apps that I mentioned. They were still working on those, but perhaps we should have done a bit better there. We did a lot of work about building our own tooling. So we can, and perhaps at a later opportunity we can discuss this in more detail, but we spent a lot of time with our development of a design system early on, That paid dividends because everything we were doing was consistent, the ultimate dream of using Flutter. So we worked extremely closely and signed everything off that we were doing with our UX team and made sure that whatever widgets we were designing, they approved them. That was a key win for us. And it's made everything right of that decision simpler and more effective. We did a lot of PoCs, as I say, and lots of iterations on everything. So we weren't afraid to try things and fail. We could throw them away because we were able to move quite quickly here, not so in the old native world. Yeah, surely there were things that would have made our life easier. Definitely OTA and server-driven UI. We would like more of that. That's planned for our release. The single app will actually be going to a closed user group in July of friendly members of the group. And then in the October timeframe, goes to real live customers. So I feel a bit of a fraud. It's not in production yet, but it will be soon. So we want a little bit more interop. We really need it because one of the early wins we had was being able to take components, features that we'd built in Flutter, and using add to app, we were able to put them in our legacy apps, and we were able to battle test in production and convince ourselves that we weren't going to get fired. It was actually working and working well. In fact, at one point, we created a set of videos. We took a component that was a flow of a customer journey natively, and we did the exact same thing in Flutter, and we put those videos to the team who built those features natively and said, so which one's Flutter? And then the people who ran that department, some of them were getting it wrong and saying, yeah, that's native when it was Flutter. So even they couldn't tell. And that made me feel quite good and warm inside. I wasn't going to get fired after all. FinTech-ready SDKs. Some of the frameworks we have to use in the apps weren't really Flutter. They were a native component that we had to talk to through Pigeon or whatever. And, oops, I'm not supposed to be doing too much on high-tech stuff, but we had to talk through to the native layer. It would be really nice for more of the frameworks that we use to be fintech friendly, rather than just pure iOS or native. What I really want them to be is Flutter friendly. And security and compliance, obviously being a regulated industry, everything we do has to be safe, and our customers' money counts. It has to be held in a safe place. So a little bit more attention to first-class security would be fantastic. At the moment, obviously, we have to go out to third parties for that. It'd be great if it was in the Flutter framework. So, shout-outs. So the community, you guys, the devs, what an amazing community of like-minded people. Yes, the native communities are fantastic, but genuinely, the Flutter community is amazing to work with. Obviously, in our POCs, we were looking for solutions to what we could do. We had some crazy things. We had emoji pin pads. You know, when you want to log into the app, we decided we were going to use emojis that represented other companies in the Virgin group, like little airplanes, and I think I can still mention Virgin Galactic. We had a starship in there as well. So we went a bit crazy for the fun of it to convince people around us. So don't be afraid to have a bit of fun in your POCs. It can win you friends. But we had to play by some rules, and obviously we had to rein ourselves in. We had to take the crazy stuff out, which is a shame, because it would be nice to have virgin wines everywhere. Our partners. Well, first of all, Lean Code have been fantastic. We do have other partners. I'm not going to give everybody a shout out, but the guys at Lean Code have been fantastic on our journey. I would thoroughly recommend them. And our partners, I would also say the guys at the Flutter team. We engaged a few years ago with Leah and Michael, and they've been fantastic along with the others. And they really encouraged us on our journey. Of course, there's the question. Would we do it again? Well, we're going live in 4 months, so maybe I can tell you then. But right now, yeah, I'd do it all again. I think it's been a fantastic journey and probably one of the smoothest rollouts that we've had so far. I don't want to jinx things, though. We still haven't gone live. And that's us, Virgin Money.